Today you're taking notes on a handout, so make sure you actually have this paper. You're not doing it on your own piece of paper. We're going to do slope from points and from a graph. So we've done slope from an equation, and you've done slope from a graph, saying positive, negative, all that kind of stuff. But now I'm going to show you how to find slope from like 2 points, or if you're given a graph, how you can find slope. Okay? So first we're going to talk about slope formula. Now if you actually look, this is your formula chart that you have in your binder. If you actually look, it'll say slope of a line, and it'll give you this right here. So if you look at that, this is slope formula. So I want you to write it down. Probably won't make any sense to you right now, but it will in a little bit. y2 minus y1, all that divided by x2 minus x1. Okay? This is slope formula. Now, I'd say you need to memorize it, but you don't really need to memorize it because it's on your formula chart and you can use this on your test. But you're going to be seeing this in algebra, so I just want to make you aware of the slope. Okay? So, I'm going to show you how to find slope with this. Okay? So, for example, what I mean by y2 and y1 is you have 2 points. This is the first point, and this is the second point. Okay? 1, 2. So what I mean by y2 is you go to the second point, and what's the y value here? Well, if you don't know, the first is x, and the second is y. First is x, second is y. Okay? So if I do y2, I go to the second point, and the y value is 2. So I'm going to put 2. And then I'm going to put minus, and then y1. So I go to the first point, and then the y value here is 4. So I'm going to do 4. All I'm doing is plugging in numbers. So y2, I go to the second point, the y value, minus y1, go to the first point, the y value. Then we have x2, or divide by, that big divide line. And then x2, so go to the second point, the x value is 2, minus, so the minus comes down, x1. So I go to the first point, the x value is 3. Okay? So all I've done is I plugged it in. Then your calculator, you're just going to do this. So 2 minus 4, if you didn't know, is negative, kind of hard to see, negative 2. So negative 2 divided by 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So all I did, like if you need to make a note, from here to here, all I did was subtract. And then I'm actually just going to divide that. Negative 2 divided by negative 1. Okay? Is a positive 2. So you're going to put slope is 2. Okay? So that's one way to do it. There's another way to do that exact same thing, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So that's slope from points. That's one way. Here's another way, slope from a graph. And you're going to have this thing called rise over run. Rise means how much it goes up, or in some cases goes down. And run is how much it goes to the right. So for example, I have 2 random points here. Just like I had 2 points here. And you can find out slope. You're still going to do y divided by x. So go ahead right here and put y divided by x. Okay? That's what that little over thing means, divide. So from here, to get from this point to this point, I need to go up and to the right. So I'm actually going to go ahead and draw a little dotted line going up and to the right. Okay, so from that point to that point, I go up and to the right. Some of you may say, why aren't you going right and then first? Because the first thing I have to do is rise. So I need to go up first and then run. I'm going to go over. Now tell me how much you're going up. So it's hard to see on my paper, but on your paper you can count. From here, I'm going up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going up 4. Okay? And then I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 4. Okay? So I'm going up 4 and over 4 to get to that next point. And then you just have to remember, do y divided by x, or the rise divided by the run. So 4 divided by 4, if you didn't know, is just 1. Slope is 1. And you can kind of tell that's a positive number, and if I drew a line connecting those points, that would be a positive slope. So that also kind of works out. Okay, so that's a little different, but we'll kind of work on it. So I'm going to take this right here and then do it as a graph. So what you need to do first is draw yourself an XY axis. Okay, so you draw yourself an axis, and I want you to actually label, this is X, and this is Y. Okay, and then I want you to plot these points. So I want you to plot 3, 4. So go over 3 and up 4. So if you need a pause, go ahead and do that, but I want you to plot that point, 3, 4. Okay, and then plot the point 2, 2. So I go over 2 and up 2. Okay? So plot those points if you need to. You can already tell that if I were to draw a line, that would be a positive slope because that line would be going up. So to get from this point to this point, I'm going to go up and over. I'm going to go up and over. Okay? I'm going to go up, if I count it, 1, 2. I'm going to go up 2, and then I'm going to go over just 1. Okay, and remember you do the rise divided by the run. So 2 divided by 1 is 2. Slope is 2, which I will show you. So slope is 2. If you see, I did slope formula here, I did rise over run here, and I got the same answer. Both are a slope of positive 2. Okay, so 2 ways to do it. All right, but what if I just give you the points? How would I do this way? Okay, so real quick, I want to figure out what these points are. So this point right here, I go left 1 and down 1. So as a point, that point is -1, -1. Because I went over 1 and down 1. Okay, the next point is I go over 1, 2, 3, but I go up 1. So the other point is -3, but I went up a positive 1. So if I have 2 points, I can actually write the 2 points down. And then we're going to do slope formula, which is y2 minus y1. If you remember, this is the first point, and this is the second point. And then, so y2 minus y1. So I go to the second point, the y value here is 1. So I put 1. I always put minus. And then y1, I go to the first point, the y value here is -1. Okay, so make sure you put minus -1. And then divide by. x2 means I go to my x here, and it's -3 minus, and then my x1 value is -1. If this is hard for you, I would go ahead and write your x's and y's underneath the points if you need to kind of keep it clear, however you want to write it. All right, so I'm going to subtract 1 minus -1. Okay, and I get 2 because you're minusing a negative. And then -3 minus -1 is -2. Okay, so all I do is I subtract, and then I'm going to divide. 2 divided by -2 is a -1. So slope is -1. Okay, that's one way to do it. Now let's look at the graph way. Okay, here's what's a little different. Here I started with the left point, and I started with the left point. You always have to start with the left point, always. So I'm going to have to start here. But instead of rising, I'm going to have to actually go down to get here. Okay, so I'm going to go down and to the right. So I'm going to draw my line down and then to the right. So you can go ahead and draw like little dots or however you want to write it. Okay, so to get from here to here, I go down 1, 2. But since I'm going down, that is a -2. I'm going down 2. Okay? And then I'm going over 2. So then I go over 1, 2. And since I'm going to the right, I do a +2. Okay? So the only difference here is since I'm going down, I'm going to put a negative. When I was going up, it was just a positive number. Okay? And then remember, it is y over x. Correct? So I have to do -2 divided by 2. All right, and then -2 divided by 2 is -1. Same thing we got here. We got slope is -1. It's the same thing. So 2 different ways. Now, what some of you are going to ask are, well, what if I just want to do it one way? Well, you can't really, because you're going to be given different information in algebra. Sometimes you're only going to get graphs. Sometimes you're only going to get points. Now, technically, if you had points, you could graph them and do this. And technically, if you had a graph, you could write the points, but I just want you to get practice. So let's do the last 2, and then we'll be done. Okay? So I have 1, 1, and 5, 4. And if you don't remember the formula, it's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay? So this is the first point. This is the second point. We're going to go a little faster here. y2, second point, is 4 minus y1 over here is 1 divided by x2 is 5 minus x1 is 1. Now, I don't have to do this in the calculator. 4 minus 1 is 3, and 5 minus 1 is 4. And then we divide it. 3 divided by 4 is a decimal, and I always want a fraction. So 3/4. Slope is 3/4. Okay, and it's positive. All right, that's how to do it with points. How to do it with the graph is you got to draw an x and y axis. Make sure you label x and y. Okay, x, y, and then plot those points. So 1, 1 is right there, and 5, 4. So we go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so all I did was I plotted those 2 points. I plot them right here, and then I go up and over. So I go up and over. Okay, I go up 1, 2, 3. So I went up 3, and then I go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 3, over 4. And then 3 divided by 4 is just, we already did that, 3/4. So slope is 3/4. So yet again, we got the same answer. We just did it 2 different ways. Now, I'm not going to do this last example, but I'm just going to show you that, for example, if I have 2 points like this, I don't go up or over any, right? I can just easily see that if these 2 points connect, what type of slope is that? And if you don't remember, that type of slope is 0 slope. Remember, positive, negative, 0. So you can't, it is possible to get an answer that's 0. Okay, so just be aware. All right, that's points and graphs. Go ahead and go to your assignment.